Specifically.
Yeah. I skip the whole process and just don't do any of that. I feel like you have to already be rich to get into something like that. Or
that stuff, but you can do the get rich slow thing. You did the math, right? Remember, you said Woody must be crazy or exaggerating, and then you ran the compound interest and tuck some aside.
But that wasn't with the stock market though. That was just, you were mainly talking about like CDs and like low interest, like low risk shit.
S&P 500. It's a stock market.
Oh, well then maybe I will do it. I don't know.
Would encourage you to. Like, hey, when you want to.
I will. I just. How much money do you need to put into it off the start? Like.
So there's like
grand,
there's like two answers to that. Some funds will be like, look, if you want to open with us, you need 10 grand, and that's a lot. But a lot of times, there's like choices. Like, you know what? You either need to have 10 grand or commit to like $50 a month, and they'll happily take your recurring deposit too. So it doesn't.
And is there like a guarantee for
return
or
no? You just look at historical data and hope that the future looks like the past. And well,
that's risky.
See, the
from someone who knows nothing about
like
it.
One of my counters to that though is, people are like, oh, you can't guarantee me a return. I'm out. But wait, like you have to do something, like what is your plan for this? You could work till death. Like that's an alternative to this plan. You could never really get wealthy. That's an alternative to this plan. But you
could get like a CD at like 5% or something. You won't get much.
I don't think you can.
I was talking to someone recently about that, and maybe they misled me even further down my rabbit hole of misinformation and bad tips.
I'm just checking out CD rates real quick. I don't know what they're going to be at, but I thought they'd be much lower. 1%.
Oh, well, Jesus. You need a lot of money to do anything.
Yeah. At 1%, I mean, that might be less than inflation.
Yeah. I guess there's no such thing as easy money, so you have to take a risk. I don't want to. I want to be able to like sit on a big hoard of cash and just like throw like 50 grand at it and see if it works or not. I don't want to be every morning waking up like, oh Jesus, like fuck.
I don't do that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What?
I don't do that. I don't watch it day to day. I don't sit there and sweat it. I check in like quarterly. You don't have to. I feel like if you want it to really grow and turn into something cool, when you invest it, emotionally you've thrown it away. Like you're going to check back on that thing in 15 years. Now it's different if you're buying individual companies, right? Those are things you check on and decide if you still value, like if the reasons you bought it still hold true. Like, are you still optimistic about this company? But if you're buying like an index fund, right, and you're just investing it into 500 companies at once, you put your $50 a month in it and don't look. Look again in 5 years, and you'll have tons of money in it. And then if you don't touch it, that tons of money will grow into megatons of money. I don't know what's better than that. But that's the idea.
I could just be like, all right, I'm throwing 10 grand into the S&P 500, and then I just don't pay attention to it
exactly
for like a decade, and then I should come back and I'm like, oh my god, this is great, or well, it's gone.
Let's pretend we did that.
$10,000 after 5 years, let's say.
I can't spell compound interest. I'm your investment guy. I can't spell compound interest.
Does somebody have a TI-84? I invested in Texas Instruments.
So I used 10% for my rate of return because that was the rate of return that was in the most recent 22 years in the S&P 500 when I made that video. So it's a good number-ish. I used 10 years to grow, and I started with 10 grand, and I didn't have you put any more in it the whole time. It turns into 26 grand. If you were to do a monthly addition, or a weekly addition, I'll multiply it by 4. Like, how much would you tuck aside if you wanted it to keep growing?
Say like $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month.
That's probably is that not what most people do? Do whatever most people would do.
If you did
500 a month, so it hurts less.
Okay.
And then 121,000. So if you dropped in 10 to start and added 500 a month, In a decade, you'd have 121 grand. But what's cool is like you
so
do
I'd have
that.
made 51 grand.
Well, I didn't figure out how much 50 a month was.
And it didn't account for inflation.
How much is 50 grand a month?
The 50,000 that I would put in, or it's 6,000 a year for 500 a month.
Yes.
10 years, 60,000. Or no, so 41,000 is what I make.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Now that you've done the math, I can agree with it.
That's a lot. That's quite a bit of money.
But that's like only the start. Like if you were to just even not touch it and let it continue to grow. Let's do that. So let's I'm gonna go 121, 560. I made a typo. 120, 121, 561, 562. And then we'll do month. So let's say that after you got to that 121 grand, you stopped adding to it and you just let it grow on its own for the next 10 years. It would be 315,000.
Are you by any chance currently answering the AMA question that regarded some? Okay,
No,
so let me mix this in with where you're already going, because you had the $10,000 number. Hey Woody, I was wondering if you could help me with some money. I'm 19 and just about to finish my first year of college in Mississippi, and I have enough scholarship to pay for college. My grandfather gave me $10,000, and I was hoping I could use it to make money, but I would like to keep it available if I need to dip into it and purchase something big. So what are tips and advice for what he should do with that money? He wants it readily available should he need it, but he wants it to grow.
See, that readily available thing is the trickiest part for me, right? Because let's say, for example, he's 19 and he might buy a house in 2 years. Well, then I wouldn't suggest he put it in the stock market. Like, it could be less than 2 years.
What if you diversified it, put some of it in a CD, maybe some of it in wherever you were just telling Taylor to do with his money, because it seemed like you knew exactly what you were talking about, and maybe some of it in just a savings account.
I mean, that makes some sense. Right? How much is he wants all 10 grand readily available? Is he planning on?
Here's my advice: put $2,000 of it in a savings account, and you can get to that $2 grand if you need it. You're not going to have any emergencies bigger than $2 grand normally. That's a big emergency if you need $3 grand. It doesn't happen very often. Your AC unit can go out and $2 grand will cover it. Your transmission probably too. If
and
you
he's
got
a
little
student.
money. That's true. I would put $2 grand in the savings. Put another 3 in like a 2-year CD maybe. So you're going to have it in a couple years when maybe you do need to do some buying, and put the rest in whatever Woody was just advertising, because it sounded like a great idea.
And for people who know nothing, that sounded insulting, but it wasn't what I was going for. I have had people accuse me of like, oh yeah, Woody's clearly on the take for the S&P 500. No.
I thought you were going to say mansplaining.
No. Like, dude, my first investment video was reported as a scam. Like I was I had some benefit out of it. Like, we got it fixed.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, like, they stopped, like, it stopped earning money and getting ads and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who thinks I'm, like, if I was the
fucking socialist asshole Bernie Sanders fans out there. All you did was describe fucking capitalism, and they're like, this must be illegal. That's why I'm getting replaced by $35,000 robots.
When I saw it, my impression was that they thought that I was like, I don't know, like an Amway salesman or something, and then not telling them that I was secretly on the take for all the money that goes into the S&P 500, which is ludicrous.
They thought the S&P 500 was like some like shady office park address where you're like running your evil scam out of, and you're
you're doing lewds in a warehouse somewhere, laughing at all the gullible idiots on YouTube, and they're just giving us their money. I told them they'd have $1 million. You know, fucking idiots.
We got 22 years to live it up before they think.
Don't you find that a bit sad when you really examine what just happened there? Don't you find it a bit sad that you gave very, very sound long-term investment advice, something that high schools should be pumping into to children? You gave it in a readily consumable fashion, and they thought it was a scam.
I hope that the people who flag me are the people who needed to watch the video again.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, they need to watch a whole different series of videos probably if they're flagging that.
But I made this video, a vlog actually, and it was like I forget. Oh, I talked about how like income inequality was fair or something or good or whatever. It was a intentionally like inflammatory title, but in there, like during my rant, I said something like, people will say, "Oh, you'll never get 10% in the S&P 500." I'm not doing it, because I think it's going to return 9. It's like, your problem isn't 9 or 10%. Your problem is that you didn't do it at all. Dave Ramsey does this thing. He always uses 12%. He says that his mutual funds return 12%, which to me feels too optimistic.
Isn't it like that old proverb, like about the best time to plant a tree?
Right.
The best time to plant a tree is 40 years ago or today.
Yeah, the second best time is now. Right?
Second best time is now, and investing is the same thing.
Yeah, and Dave Ramsey,
small amounts build to large amounts because of compounding interest.
Everyone rips on his 12% investment number, although he sticks by it. But he's like, your problem isn't that you're getting 10 instead of 12. Your problem is that you use the "I'll never get 12" as an excuse not to get your 10. Even if you return 8, 12, 9, I don't care. Just get it. Get your return. Let it compound. Let it start building. Let's just don't look for reasons not to and never begin. Are we ready to change topics?